Therefore, when you start a business, anyway, even if you have millions of people, you will never be able to reach to millions of people on day one. Any business for that matter, whether it was Amazon, whether it was Google, whether it was Microsoft, or whether it was Dehat, right, which is an agri-based company. They didn't start with thousands of customers on day one. Right? In Facebook started with 50, 60 guys. You always start with, you know that in the beginning the customers are very small. The customer set is very small. And in many cases, they are actually varied because you don't know who your customer in the beginning. So while potential is important, is there, it's not the potential which builds the business. It is what you do to the customer that builds the business. Right? And as personalized you will become, the more valuable you become to the customer. Right? Does that make sense? Shall I move?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So, sir, you are saying to solve a particular segment for, thereafter move ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. While you in your deck you may write whatever number as a potential. For me, it is irrelevant. I never look at potential. Right. So, for example, Google, as I said, everybody talks about Google, but Google was not the first search engine. There was no potential at that time. Yahoo was already there. There were 20 different search engines already there. In fact, that's the reason Google did not get funded for last. They must have made at least 25, 30 pitches before they got some money. So if the market is big, that means somebody is already doing it. Right? And if it is big and nobody is doing it, that means it's an emerging market. You don't know what is going to happen. Like from today, everybody is talking about Africa as an emerging market, but nobody knows how to do business in Africa. Right? So potential is one thing out there. It's good to know that, okay, the sky is the limit. Always sky is the limit, right? But you are just starting. That number is irrelevant. If you say that I have to go to Mars today, right? I know Mars, I have to go to Mars, but you need to build a spaceship, right? And that takes years before you can do that. Right? So therefore, look at how am I relevant to, and that is where you say, when you say what problem you're solving or pain point is what will come to, what problem you're solving and how you're solving the problem. That is a question that needs to be answered. Right? Let me move to the next one. This is something I have to reduce my size. This is a framework. This is a framework which I always use when I look at developing a complete marketing plan. I hope this is visible to you.
Yes, sir.
Right. So you have opportunity in the market, your resources and competence, market, customer expectations, customer profile, competition, value proposition, your offer, how you're designing it, how you're delivering it, and leading to profitability. This is the basic this thing, right? Where is the starting point? That's the question. In this case, where is the starting point?
Opportunity and the resources.
Opportunity, right? Any other thought?
Value proposition.
So let's first look at who said that opportunity. Dipti.
Yeah.
Right. So Dipti, when you say opportunity for what?
Opportunity for marketing and the gap.
So how do you identify that gap?
That will be through interaction with this the particular target group and the dex review.
Right. So let me just give me a second. I'm searching for that. Just give me a second, huh? Okay, so let's say my potential is, let's look at a retail business. My potential is 100, right? Let's look at that, right? I find out that there are 1 billion people in this country and they are buying so much. So retail is about $1 trillion business, right? Right. What is the serve market in retail? If potential was $100, 100 rupees, whatever it is, right? What is the serve market?
Potential means total market size, and served market means the segment which I am targeting.
So let's pick up a retail business, right? If the potential is 100, what is the serve market?
It will be around 5 to 6% of the market.
How do you say that?
10% of that.
How do you
10.
say that?
Depending on the manufacturing capacity and the number of people you can reach out to, it's very limited how much you can reach out to people at one time.
So do you think that if you are not there, customers are not having that kind of a product or service?
Of course they are, but again, that revenue is not coming to
Right.
my share. So the maximum potential market that I can serve is about 5 to 6%.
No, it may not come to you. That's a different thing. But is the market being served by somebody else or not?
Yes, of
It's
course.
absolutely, it is solved by others. The thing
Right.
is that whatever the strength and weakness you have, accordingly you judge whatever should be your served market.
So no, I'm talking of not your serve market that is being served currently by anybody. If you are not, let's say, even if you're in, you're doing bio waste management, right? If you are doing something, do you think others are not doing it?
So of course.
Yes, others are also doing it. So
Others are doing it, right?
yes. So based on
Right.
the number of players available, then you can say, okay, served market is this much. If there are
Right.
10,
Right. Right.
yeah.
So if you get into retail business, for example, right? If the potential is 100, sub-market is
Number of player, this divided by number of players.
100, because that product is being sold by anybody, right?
Okay.
In any case, right? So the available market is
100.
available market is
0, yeah.
right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So just because your potential is very big doesn't mean that you have it is something that you have available market is also there.
You're saying available market is the serviceable, obtainable market, right? So
Yeah, available market to you, right? After that, then you of that how much you want to take, that's a different thing, right?
okay. Okay.
Right. Now just think of it. This is one example of retail, right? Let's take another example of the waste management itself, right? Potential, let's again say 100, right? Right. And what is the serve market now? Look at how much is being processed of all the waste that is being utilized. How much is being processed?
$100.
All the waste is getting processed?
Yeah, some or the other way it is all has to go.
Exactly, right? Some other
Yeah.
way it is being processed. It may not be efficient, it may not be effective, it may not be environment friendly, whatever you say, right?
Right.
But whatever waste is there, it's being managed or mismanaged, whatever you call it, right?
Right.
Some way it is being done, right? So
Yeah.
now, so, therefore, in most cases, when we say we feel that I am going and there's a huge potential out there. The fact of the matter is either a current product or a current practice is already there, which is being adopted by people, right?
Yes.
Therefore, sub-market, we get carried away by saying my potential is 100 is a potential, only 20% of the waste is being managed, right, or utilized for a particular, therefore 80% market is there, right? Now, if that 80%, just think of it, if that 80%, even if I take that number at 80%, why is it that nobody is doing it? There must be a devil in that, right? That somebody has not found an answer. So there is a traditional or some way that somebody is doing it, right? That means in any case, whichever market I go, no, my available market is 0. Because either a current product or a practice will be there, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, our job therefore is not to sell a product. So if it is in both cases, the task of marketing is actually what is the basic task now? I need to switch somebody from one source to my source, right?
Yes.
There's nothing called no competition. Even if I'm the first one into the market, there's nothing called no competition, because no competition is also equal to no demand. Customer says, I don't want it. The moment the customer says, I don't want it, there's zero potential. Right? So therefore, opportunity, therefore, what is opportunity now? In both cases, it is 0. So what is the opportunity?
Opportunity is 100.
Very good. Right? So
Yeah.
this is exactly what I'm saying. Now, if the opportunity is 100, right? Now, very, very good. If the opportunity is 100, how much do I go for? How much should I aim for?
Actually, you can plan and see if you can basically, again, if this is opportunity is 100 but opportunity with diversification is 100, or it's basically a very focused opportunity of 100, that you should find out and go for it.
So what you're saying, if I'm hearing right, you don't know,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
it could be two also, it could be 100 also, right?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I do not know as to what exactly is the potential for me. You understand this? And that's why I say that the numbers which are thrown to us by all the reports is good to have, but it's a myth. Right? You look around every industry, right? And people say there's so much opportunity, but you have so many companies coming and failing. Why? If the opportunity was so good, why should companies fail? Right? And also, COVID has taught us one lesson. Let's understand it. This is the first time in this country that we are seeing a recession or a slow, sluggish growth. After independence, this is the first time that a sluggish growth is being seen by us. Right? We are so used to double-digit growth. Right?
Yes.
Many of us don't even know what to do because we were riding a wave. And that wave is gone. Right? Some industry sector have flourished. Like for example, education has flourished, online education has flourished. Right? Online per se has flourished. No. But despite all that, right? Huge opportunity out there, but still you have companies which are failing. Right? So first thing, therefore, the potential this that we have is not in the market. Potential is for the value that you are delivering to the customer. And it is the value which will tell me whether the customer will come to me or not. So my value, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, go ahead.
so some are saying the market is saturated. So
Agreed?
some are saying like, no, if you are moving to this, let's say Docs app, teleconsultation. Okay. Now, some are saying don't go in that line that has been saturated by developing that technology. Lot of companies are like,
Yeah.
I guess. So in that case, what is your saturation of this market?
See, when have most innovations come? Which kind of markets?
Saturated markets.
Exactly. See, if that is the basic difference between a US market and an Indian market. In a saturated market where the market growth rate is just 1%, right? GDP is 1% growth, right? When the markets are saturated, that's where innovation is coming. We are not innovating. We are simply fulfilling demand. We are not innovating.
Right, sir. Right.
You're getting it?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Actually, the biggest innovation comes when there is a maturity in the market. So
Yes.
if your teleconsultation is coming to maturity, that means somebody will come with you have to come with some innovation. Then only it can happen, right?
Right, sir. Right, sir. 100% right, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So that is where the need for innovation starts coming. Otherwise, we all go by big market. Let's go by it's a flowing river. I'll also make a few buckets out of it. Right? Nothing wrong about it. But that's why it is not innovation. It's simply adaptation. Is what you're looking at. Right? So what I'm saying, that many of us who look at yourself and see, are you actually bringing innovation in your business or not, is the question that you ask. Because also what happens that if you are getting into an uncharted territory, let's say we're talking of potential as 0 or 100, and I come up with a new idea and the potential is 100. Why was that 100? Because nobody had ever tried earlier. You are the one who are trying, right? So there is a first mover advantage, but then equally there is a first mover disadvantage. Because the moment you succeed, everybody will pounce on you. Competition is just waiting for you to succeed. There's no problem, no dearth of money. People are sitting with money. They're trying to find out if there are successful ideas which I can replicate. Nobody is putting money behind uncertain ideas, right? Including large number of funds. They're all waiting for you to do your POC, then only they'll give you money, right? 90% of fund is not available to you as a startup.
Correct.
Because they start funding companies only when you have already set yourself that yes, I can do something. So the world actually goes behind a successful idea or a business, not uncertain or unsuccessful idea. And all of us are trying to do something that to show that yes, this is successful. I am going to succeed, right? So see, startup business is no different from being in a casino. You don't know who will succeed, who will not. 5% of all the startups actually succeed. I would put the figure to about 15% because 5% become a little larger. Next 10% they keep working and they of some size, but most of them are struggling. Right? So that's because many of us have got into saying that this is a big business, let's get into it. See, today's flavor is D2C. Everybody's talking D2C. Right? You have one or two successes happening and everybody's after that. So if I'm going by the wave, I will move by the wave, right? What is that I am bringing in? And that's where we start saying, when you are looking at opportunity, look at the value that you're bringing to the market, right? That is where the starting point is. So I'll just go back to this. Look at the value that you're giving. This is the starting point. And somebody said value. Who was that? Who said value proposition?
Satya. Yeah, I said.
Yeah, right. So could you explain what was your mind when you said this?
Yes. So I thought actually when you even talk to a client and you're trying to actually bring the client to your side of the table, you actually are proposing value all the time, and you actually demonstrating what you have in the product and what value are you bringing to them, maybe in terms of ROI and in terms of many other things. But that is what I thought.
So value ROI is to an investor, right? Value to customer also an ROI?
Yeah, you can. As in, let's say that there is, a client is using a helicopter, a chopper to do a commute, right? And you suggest that you have a car and, that can do the same thing, exactly the same thing also. And then, that's the ROI that you are saying, the amount of what you were spending, the client was spending on a helicopter or chopper for the commute is what you're doing to a car with it.
Right. Great. But what you're showing is just one part of the value, right?
Yes.
I think.
Yes, Satya.
Sorry. Yes.
Satyanarayan was saying something. Sorry, Satyanarayan was saying something.
No, sir. Yeah, that is what I told. Yeah, it's one part of the ROI, one part of the value.
No, let's take the same example as a helicopter, right? A chopper, right?
Yeah.
And why I'm saying that, because it's natural to say that, look, I can give you a cheaper mode of transportation, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But are you sure the person wants a cheaper mode of transportation?
May not, right? If
Right? So therefore, so that's that customer who doesn't want a cheaper mode of transportation is not your customer, is not a market.
yes. So it may be that they are looking at the not about the cheaper, they want the same quality of transport. So what they get in Chopper, like Chopper is all about speed, right? So
Yes.
they can go from point A to point B at a at a very less time. Time and
Yes.
speed is what they are looking at. So if
Yeah.
you can provide a commute, you can medium of commute which actually is that time and speed.
So that's I'm again saying, is that the only value the customer looks at when you have a chopper?
Actually, it is the composition of all the values, all the benefits they are getting, and whatever investment against whatever investment they are making. Maybe they are investing in terms of money, in terms of time, anything. All the benefit.
You're right, Kamaksha, you're
All the
right.
investment.
But still, you're not looking at the complete other dimensions of value.
Value proposition actually can be created by helping the customer's buying decision very much easy. Helping the customer to make his decision easier to buy
Right.
a thing.
Right. So your value proposition is that I will be able to service the customer in such a way
Yes,
that
helping the customer
finds
to
it
make
easier,
a wise decision, making
easier
his
to take a
work
decision,
easier.
right? Easier to take a
Making his
decision,
work-
right?
Yes,
Now, when you say easier to take a decision, you're saying I would be able to provide the kind of information and support, right?
yes.
Now, for that, what is required?
For that, we should understand the actual requirement of the customer.
Exactly.
And we should requirement of the customer, the pocket size of the customer, the potential of the customer's buying capacity, all
Yeah.
has to be taken care.
Right. So if I go back to the helicopter example, right? Do you think helicopter people use helicopter only because of speed?
No. Helicopter is majorly used based on the need. For example, I'll give you a good example that I have experienced. If we go to Kedarnath, while going, everyone are in a very much kind of josh. We want to walk.
Yes.
It's only 16 kilometers. Everyone is very much energetic and enthusiastic. They walk up, but once you reach there, do the darshan, you lost your enthusiasm. You are very much tired.
Exactly.
That is where you sell a helicopter to a customer.
Right.
You have no other option. If you are able to pay 2,500 rupees, you can book and come back easily.
Right. So the same service has a different value, right?
Yes.
And that's the point I'm making.
Sir, can I say one thing?
Yes, Sanjay.
Yeah, actually, suppose if you take the example of this telecom market, when Jio came, that time it was completely saturated and it was third market was 100.
Yes.
So, but they found that potential is still 100.
Yes.
And they came into here and they are probably almost 50%.
Yes.
So, can you consider that one as
think of it. The example that you're doing very good. How many people cancel their existing connection to take a Jio?
Yeah, but from the saturation point also, they could be able to take out some chunk.
That's
So
what you're saying. What we have been saying right now, that saturation is where the real innovation comes, right?
Yes.
Right. So they have to really innovate to find out how they can do that, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So therefore, what I'm saying is that the real start, before you actually get into the market to find out what your market is,
yeah,
you must know the data about the overall size of the market. That's something, but that's not a potential. The starting point is what is the value that you bring on table.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes, sir.
That value will decide what will be your customer profile.
Exactly, sir.
Right. who
Yes.
will value the value that you have, right?
Yes, yes,
That is your segment.
yes.
That is your segment. We don't define the segment before. Normally in our plan, we define the segment, who the segment is, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And then we do that. This profile tells me what would be the expectation of the customer. So we are looking at profile and expectation of the customer. That tells me which market to enter. The moment you say which then, and that market that you are entering, right, is the opportunity, not the overall thing, that whole country. No. Right? That's the opportunity. So opportunity determination, normally what people do, you look at the mega number and then say there is huge opportunity. So why should I not be given why should my firm not be supported by somebody, right? If it is your money, please go ahead and do it. But many people have really made mistake by really going after the opportunity, saying that let me grab that opportunity fully. Because it's just not possible for one firm to fulfill 100% of the opportunity, right? But what happens that when you look at the opportunity, you start building a plan for that opportunity. Your targets get guided by that. So yesterday I was having a discussion with a company, a startup, which is into leather products, right? And they said we will jump from X to X into 2 into 3 and X to 6 in 4th year. 6 times in 4 years. They were presenting to a colleague of mine who has spent 25 years in leather industry. And the first thing he said, okay, your projection is useless. You don't understand the business. So he started showing the number. Itna bada market hai, it's about $1 billion market and all that. He says it's fine. But it's established business. Leather is established business. There are already big players, well entrenched players, fragmented players, market structure. How would you get this number? And then it came to the simple question: how are you different in the market? What is the different value that you're giving to marketplace, right? So point I'm making is that make the value that you deliver as the core of your business for determined opportunity, not the market size, right? Because you would also come across many startups who have pivoted. They pivot every 6 months, right? What does pivot mean? Essentially, what is the meaning of pivot? Pivoting in a startup culture, what is pivoting?
Shifting it to another allied business or some different business model.
So that means whatever you had thought of, assume that didn't work out, right? As simple as that. Pivoting means
Yes.
the way you are doing the business and what business you are doing, that didn't work out, right?
Yes. Or changing the strategy according to the actual requirement of the customers.
So which means if you're changing the strategy in 3 months, that means you didn't understand the market, right?
Yes.
So either the value that you are seeing, others are not seeing, then only your strategy is bad. If other find your value valuable, they would buy. Every strategy will be right?
Yeah, that is
So
what we are telling as validation, no, sir.
Exactly, right? Validation of what? Validation is never about the product. Product people understand. Product can be changed a little bit here and there. It fits, right? But the major markets happen only when whether that product is seen to be valuable or not, right? That is something which is there, right? So today, just think of it. If you have to say, I want to start a newspaper business, what will happen? See, there is a huge market of newspaper, right? Every one of us is reading. But if I come to you and say, I want to start a newspaper today, what will you do? Print newspaper.
Digital.
Right. See, it's very interesting. Each one of us is buying newspaper. and still we are saying there's no potential there, right? If you look at number of households who are actually looking at newspaper, not everyone is buying, right? Only about 30%, 50%. Kerala, they are high level of purchase, but in other markets, only about 30% people buy newspaper. That means 70% people should buy. But they don't, because simple, they don't value a newspaper. Not that they don't value news. They value news, but they don't value newspaper. So that's something that we should keep in mind. Does that make it clear?
Yes.
And in order to understand value proposition, this is what I always. So there is a customer value, there is a competitor value, and there is a company value, which is your value, right? So when we say value proposition, generally we talk about USP, right? Everybody says who is your USP, right? USP stands for unique selling proposition, right? But is it okay if you are unique for a short period of time? You are selling once. Is that okay? Right? It won't be okay. So what I suggest that look at USP as uniqueness. That means how do I remain different from competition? Right? Sustainability. Yes, stands for sustainability, which is, am I relevant to my customers or not? So does my value match with the customer value? Right? And does the competition allow me to charge some premium so that I can become profitable? So the use of value proposition is, it has to give me connect to the customer. It has to make me different from the competitor, and it has to allow me to charge a premium over my competition. My competition could be the current practice, current product, somebody else who's coming to the market. Then you have the right value proposition. Right? So USP is uniqueness, remain unique. Now remaining unique means I have to be innovative, right? I have to keep doing something. Sustainable or relevant to the customer. That means I have to be relevant to the customer's life, and I have to change as the customer life changes, right? Therefore, if the consumer value changes, I also need to change. So look at, for example, the value of time that has changed, right? Look at the way people are now looking at the way they are spending their time at home, right? Because of COVID, right? The whole definition of work from home has changed. It has changed the way you are dressing. It has changed the way you are eating out. It has changed. Everything has changed, right? So am I changing as per the customer requirement or not? Am I changing to be different from the customer competitor or not? If I don't build that into this thing, I don't have a value proposition. So while I start with a value proposition, I also build dynamicity into it. And that dynamicity comes mainly because of this, that I'm relevant to the customer. I have to remain relevant to the customer. Now, because this is dynamic, you never have a good answer. Perfect answer anytime. We never have a perfect answer. And that's why it's a journey. Take business as a journey.
So, sir, uniqueness is a constant process. Suppose we develop a uniqueness in
Yes.
our product. Yes. Let's say, example, my application is a ambulance application.
Yes.
So I have developed currently, let's IoT, that is a ECG, cloud-based monitoring
Yes.
to hospital.
Yeah.
So after 1 or 6 months, another company come up with same type of innovation. Then I have to think for another innovation.
Exactly, right? So that innovation may not be in terms of that technology only. It could be in terms of better service, better level of performance. It could be cost leadership, whatever it is, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Something. See, and therefore, for that matter, always look at a full value chain. Never look at one side of the value chain. Look at your complete value chain where you can innovate to keep innovating. So it's not necessary. So just think of it, na? What kind of product innovation has Colgate toothpaste done in its product?
Yes, sir.
Just think of it, right?
Right, sir.
What is the product innovation that Coke has done in last 30, 35, 40 years? Nothing, right?
Mostly marketing.
It's not about marketing, it's about creating new value. So for example, you start looking at different pack sizes, right? You start looking at giving same meaning to your product, different meaning to your product, because consumers are changing, right? So product is just one, again I'm saying product is just one part of the whole story. Your uniqueness may not come from the product, it may come from the way you deliver your service. If you look at an ambulance, for example, your differentiation is uniqueness is that you are the availability and accessibility is your uniqueness. You could make that, right?
Exactly, sir. Right, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
That I would be available and accessible anytime the customer wants it, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir. That is the main.
One more thing, for example, I'm associated with a company which is into ambulance business. They run about 500-600 ambulances in a state, right? In one of the cities, right? What we are planning, what we are trying to do is that, one of the biggest thing is that I call for an ambulance, right?
Yes, sir.
And you come in about half an hour. Then I go to the hospital, and then all the formalities of the hospital happen, and then I'm given a room, unless it's an emergency, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, right.
What if I also have data about the availability of rooms in the hospital, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Before so that as soon as I go to the customer, I pick that customer, and using today's technology, including IoT, I give all the vital data from the ambulance itself, right?
Exactly, sir. That is the main motto.
Right? So that by the time I reach, the hospital is ready to receive the customer straight into the room.
Exactly. The same thing. What you were saying, the same application I have developed.
Right. And this started from the question is that if I can book a room in a hotel on seat on airlines online, why can't I book my room in a hospital online?
Yes, yes. In the next line of innovation that can be integrated.
Right. So therefore, you have not changed the technology, right? You have not changed ambulance है सब कुछ same है, but the service delivery has changed, right?
We are adding the service delivery.
Exactly, right? Or for that matter, I have an ambulance which is different from others, right? As simple as that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So there's somebody who runs the same person who runs what you call as the motorcycle ambulance, right? If you have to go to remote area or villages in Odisha, four-wheelers cannot go quickly. So the innovation is I will do a two-wheeler ambulance.
Yes. Having the hilly area, something else.
Exactly, right? So I may not be, now the limitation is that I may not be able to do critical illness, right? But if somebody who needs quick medical attention, I can transport that person. So everything comes with that, right?
Yes. Yes.
So this uniqueness is, look at the complete value chain when you're building the uniqueness, not necessarily here, right? Your business value chain, right? And then depending upon the customer that you have, are you relevant to that customer or not? Is something that you do. So as we discussed, it is a dynamic process. It is not that ek baar kar diya to ho gaya. It doesn't happen that way.
A constant and dynamic process.
Right, constant, right? Because if you don't change, either the consumer's requirement changes or a competition will come and change the market, right?
That's true.
So if I'm not dynamic, I'm a sitting duck. That's what it is, right?
So all the moment your brain should be very attentive.
Yeah. So how can I go on adding value? Now the question that we should keep in mind that when you add value, the value extracted out of that should be higher than the cost of building that value. Value extracted is the revenue or the price, right? That has to be higher than the cost of delivering that value.
Sir, as you explained regarding the Colgate, if you take the example of Colgate, how they have given the different meaning to the customer on their product.
So देखो उसके प्रोडक्ट में कुछ भी चेंज नहीं हुआ. कोलगेट व्हाइट लेगो तो कोई चेंज नहीं हुआ प्रोडक्ट में, राइट? कुछ भी चेंज नहीं हुआ. थोड़ा थोड़ा करते रहते हो. Small changes they keep doing, but that doesn't matter because Colgate White is what is bought, right? And they were very fine. They were doing well, but they got the biggest hit when Pepsodent came back in 1890, right? Pepsodent hit them for the first time. They got they came and close up more than Pepsodent. It is close up which hit them very hard, right? Because before that, toothpaste used to be white before close up came in the market, right? And so close up simply changed the market. So from about 70% market share, Colgate lost market like anything. But they bounced back. And in bouncing back, what they said is not the product, because they did not change the product, because had they touched the product, they would have been killed. But the way they started interacting with the customers, right? To the extent that if you really want to know anything about oral care, right? It is Colgate website which talks about it. Right? I mean, the way they started bringing the whole family into their communication. Earlier it was doctor and the tooth, right? Then the family came into communication, right? Packaging changed, right? Then they started bringing new product which did not work, frankly. The salt did not work and the charcoal did not work. Nothing is working, right? But then it created interest, kept the interest in the customer's mind. And they were all flanking brands so that the main brand is protected. To the extent that when Patanjali was launched and everybody said Colgate is going to die now, right? In the whole process, Colgate lost only about 2.5% market share, right? Patanjali has about 2.3, 2.5% market share, maybe 4%. In fact, the biggest beneficiary of Patanjali is Dabur, where their market share has gone up like anything. It is almost doubled now. Right? And Colgate was able to support it just by one. They introduced a product called Colgate Ved Shakti. That's about it, right? But then they started communicating with the customer, right? They started communicating with the whole trade everywhere. Product they did not touch the product. Same as if you look at the case of Ghadi detergent, for example, right? Ghadi detergent is now about 3,000 crore brand, right? Where Nirma and Wheel were the king, they are not to be seen. There is no product change, right? पहले इस्तेमाल करो फिर विश्वास करो, right? Tagline भी change नहीं हुआ है. But they have serviced the market very well. They made sure availability is very good. They also set up manufacturing facility because they realized at different places because they realized that the power of their product. If you really look at their product, it's not a very high quality soap, high quality detergent, right? It's a low quality. But they realized that
the rural markets.
No, more than that. They realized that the water quality is something that is very important for cleaning. So they started localizing the powder. Right? Nothing has changed. Some pack changes happen now. Advertisement will keep changing because with time you change that, right? But core has not changed at all. And they are ruling the market. So product is only one part of the story. Please understand. As consumers, we always look for what is called total value delivered. Total value delivered, right? What is the total value delivered? Which is a combination of product, service not just in terms of service to the product, but also service to the customer. For example, credit is a service, right? Warranty is a service. Lifetime return policy is a service, right? Maintenance is a service, right? Is a total value that you have. So if you really look at the two biggest players called Flipkart and Amazon, the reason that Amazon is seen to be different is not because of the range of the product, right? Is their return policy. They have a no question asked return policy, right? So just that is what is making a difference. That's the biggest difference between Amazon and anybody else, right? Because even if they have 1.5 million products, how many products you search? 50, 60, right? उतना तो किराना दुकान में भी होता है, right? So I need to be looking at the complete value chain. Then only know where is the value being added and where the value can be. Then you are more competitive, right? Then you are more competitive, right? So for example, one of you is doing hospitality and tourism, right? Right.
Yes.
Right. Amaksha, you're doing hospitality, right? And you are talking about well stays, right? Right? See, currently people are, the new word which has come is shared living, right? Shared living. That's the new concept which has come into real estate after co-working spaces, right?
Yes.
Now, shared living is a concept which possibly is new to the US, right? In India, almost everybody is sharing the room. Yeah, you shared your room in the hostel. You shared your room as a what do you call when you started a job, right? Of course, depending upon what kind of job you picked up, right? But a particular segment, if we take out one small segment, everybody is sharing. I'm trying to give it a new way of looking. I'm just trying to modernize it, right? So point I'm making is that the value that you will give to them. So one of the biggest failures in real estate in this country is the old age homes. Not old age homes, homes for the older people. And you find that it has not worked in this country. It has not worked in this country. People don't mind staying in a remote place, but not the older people. And one must understand what is stopping them from doing that. Despite all the facilities, despite everything that you need. So there is a hospital, there is a gym, there is a caretaker, there is everybody, everything, a park and everything there. Still, people don't want to go and stay in those places. So there's something more to than just the product that you have. That's the point I'm making, right? So let me move to the next one. So is that clear that when you are talking of value proposition, it is something which has the ability to remain unique. That's more important, right? And that has to be relevant to the customer. Now, the other point that we're talking about, we always talk about, let's find out where the pain point is and let's try to address the pain point. And we have already talked about it, that if the customer is aware of the pain point and still is not buying something else, then either the solution doesn't exist, or he doesn't know about the solution, or the current solution is suboptimal, but still the person is happy with it for whatever reason. Right? So when the customer is aware of the alternative and still not using it, that means there is the solution as a business. The solution, either I come with a better product or find an unserved market. That's what most of us are trying to do. This we're trying to improve the product or trying to find out a market which is unserved. That's what we're doing. That's the pain point, right? But there are many businesses which started and became very successful, where they solved a problem which was not a pain point, but customer are not aware of it. So, for example, typewriter people were worried about, and therefore you had electronic typewriter which came in, right? And therefore you had a better product, right? But at that time, nobody was aware of computer at that time. Right? Large market was not aware of a computer. Or for that matter, simple reason. Very simple example, right? Many of us wear glasses, right? I wear a glass, right? Sitanshu is wearing a glass, at least in this photograph, right? And I come to Sitanshu and ask him. I think Dipti is also no. And ask Sitanshu, what is the next kind of glass that he wants? Anybody who's wearing a glass, what is the next one that you want?
Tell something about yourself.
Sorry, you're not clear.
Sir, good evening.
Yes.
In fact, if I'm using just like powered glass, I would prefer to use a photochromatic one.
But it's already
of course,
available.
I would like to.
It's already available. Photochromatic is available.
Right. So that is what I would like to go for. If at all I'm not having a pair of that glass.
Right. So we will go for photochromatic, right? But if I'm looking at a business opportunity, photochromatic is already existing, right?
Right. So we have to bring in some changes which the customer is expecting or willing to go for.
So Sitanshu said that he wants a photochromatic, right? But photochromatic is already existing. See, the point I'm making is that 99% of the cases, when you ask a customer as to what is the next best solution that you want.
Sir, I would like to have a Google Goggle kind of thing, like something with.
But you're already saying the Google Goggle to exist करता है, खरीदा क्यों नहीं अभी तक?
अभी भी, but that's in R&D phase, right? It's not available in the market right now.
The Google Glass was invented when? 5, 6, 7 years ago, right?
Early that was in concept, right? Still now we are struggling with the augmented reality, right?
No, there's so much is that being talked about. See, you will never get a perfect product, right? You never start with a perfect product. लेकिन अभी किसी और ने कॉपी नहीं किया उसको. क्यों नहीं कॉपी किया?
Because of the technology readiness. The technology is not
ready. As simple as people are not buying. As simple as that. People are not buying those products. अरे फैशन के लिए खरीद लेते हैं, स्टेटस के लिए खरीद लेते हैं, वो भी नहीं हो रहा है ना. Right. What I'm making is that. So the point I'm making is that again you are also saying the same thing which Sudham said. Most of the time, if I ask a customer will always do a reference and say इसके जैसा होना चाहिए, right? Which is normally existing, right?
Yes, sir.
It's very interesting. Yes.
Yeah. Hi, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, sir. This is Vibhavdi Dutt from Asian Bucks.
Yes,
I'm the founder of Motion Mind Ventures. Basically, it is a 360-degree media and entertainment company, sir.
Okay.
And currently, we are a strange word, sir. This is pivoting into a product company currently, and we are aiming to build a very different kind of OTT for India.
Mhm.
Yeah. Coming to your query for this Google Glass, sir. So most of the time the customer doesn't even know what they want.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Google Glass. I'm talking about this Google Glass.
No, not for Google, anything. You ask
Even-
anybody what should the next OTT be? Is the customer able to say?
Yes, yes. I prefer to have a niche OTT because I am currently building it. So my team is currently into research and development. We are basically aiming to build a women-centric OTT for the state.
Right.
The headquarters will be from Odisha, but it will be a national product.
So who told you to do this?
So, according to our research and development, what our research and development has shown, sir, this Boot, this Alt Balaji, and any homegrown OTTs which is currently available in India, sir, we have found out one very simple thing about it. We have found out that most of the content who are women-centric content, which are like this Arya, Pomo Shots Please, and She, Flesh, Bhag Bini Bhag, whatever kind of women-centric content we are consuming currently, they have garnered the maximum visibility and they have garnered maximum revenues to this OTT platforms, whomsoever.
Yeah.
So, all the homegrown OTTs, I am not talking about Netflix, I am not talking about Amazon Prime and all, because those are huge OTT giants.
So Vibhavari, basically you went and found, right?
Hello, sir. Sorry?
You went and found it, right?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes.
If you had you asked anybody, would you have got it?
Women niche OTT, India doesn't have, sir.
No. So nobody will tell you, right?
Currently,
the audience is not telling you.
Hai sir, abhi.
Audience is not telling you. It is you who are thinking of it, right?
Sir, the research and development has also said that. Sir, there is no niche OTT for women.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
The working class women, the female businessmen, the female millennials, there is no OTT available for them. When their content appetite can be.
Agreed. But that's exactly what I'm saying.
Right.
If you had done a market survey, you would have never found this gap.
Right.
You're getting it?
Right, sir.
So the opportunity is in your mind, not in the marketplace.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Right? For all of us, the opportunity, we are looking at the opportunity, right? Somebody else did not look at that opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
Right? So that is why the starting point of anything is you, not the market.
Yes, that's true.
Right? Then only you can, now the moment you do that, right? The customer is not aware. Customer doesn't know.
Right.
So if you go and ask, do you want a women OTT? Somebody will say yes, somebody will say no. Right? You don't know, right?
True. Right.
That is where you are in a situation where you have to really lead the customer, right?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
Take the customer to the next level.
Working class, sir. Absolutely. We are targeting the working class community.
Whomsoever you target, irrespective of whom you are targeting.
Yes, sir.
Your first job would be you are taking the customer to the next level.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
Right? Now that is where it is both easy and difficult. Easy because nobody is doing it. You are the only one. Difficult because customer has not taken that leap.
Yes,
right?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Right? It's very easy to do any OTT nowadays, general OTT, right?
Yes,
because it's established market now.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But the moment you go and say, I have to do this, everybody will ask you 100 questions.
Yes.
Right? Why? Because let's accept it. 99% of people in this market, in this world that you will meet, will be non-believer of your idea.
Absolutely. That's true.
Right?
True.
So, in a world which is full of non-believer, how do you do your business?
We have to show the market to them, no, sir.
No, before that,
the pain point to them.
Show will take time.
We have to show the pain point.
Show will take time. First, you have to believe in yourself.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
If you read about any success anywhere in the world, right? People just believed in what they were doing. The classic case is two examples I'll give. One is, you must have read about Post-it. Post-it notes that we use, right? The
Yes,
yellow small sheet,
Small
right?
sheet. Yeah. Yellow small sheet.
It is a 3M product. It's a 3M product. It was developed by an employee in 3M. It took 11 years for 3M, which is supposed to be an innovative company.
Okay.
It took 11 years for them to accept it.
Okay.
The whole staff within the company was using it, but still they were not ready to launch it because they did not believe in it. But this fellow kept on working, right? Other is your toughened glass. On all your mobile phones, you use toughened glass.
Yes, mobile phones. Yeah.
Right. 1999. Corning, which manufactures Borosil. Corning was the only one. Corning had developed this product in '98, but nobody was buying. There was zero customer because nobody thought it was useful because you didn't have touch screen at that time.
Right.
And then came touch screen. Apple came and then for good 7, 8, 9 years they were monopolist.
Okay.
Right. So many times you don't know what you have a great product. Few people accept it, few people will not accept it, kind of a thing, right? And there are examples.
Chances are there, of course.
Right, but the company believed in it, right? That no, I think this is a good product. It will happen, right? They started finding.
Like this Apple product, sir. Like what Steve Jobs have done, sir. He has always shown the pinpoint to the customers that he already knew that this is where the customer is going. This is what the customer wants.
No, which product you are talking about?
He already invented his products, and the customer was ready to accept it.
You are talking Apple?
Yeah, I'm talking about Apple.
Apple did not address a pain point. Apple addressed a new need, new desire.
That's right.
There's no pain point.
Precisely. New need and new desire. Correct.
Exactly, right?
New customer
so
behavior. New customer
at that
behavior.
time, if you remember, at that time we were so used to QWERTY keypad that we were not accepting O2, which was the first touch screen.
Right.
Then Apple came up with a different value proposition. Right. So, what I'm making that there are two situations. When the customer aware, then your value design has to be different. When customer is not aware, then the way you will do your potential assessment is different. Right? Shall I proceed? Okay. The other question that was asked to me was, how do we do segmentation? Right. And there are two methods to segmentation. One is top down and bottom up. Right. Am I audible to everybody? So that you have to keep checking that you have. Okay. So there are two methods to actually do that. Right, top down and bottom up. Just give me a second. Huh? So top-down approach is essentially you first put the market, right? You define the market. This is my market, right? Then you slice, right? And then you say this is a segment I'll address. This is a segment I'll address. Like Just now she was saying that I will address the working people, working women, not others, right? So that's a top-down approach, right? This is what most of us do. That we take the big market and then slice, and find out your slice that you like to address. What does this mean? What does it assume? First assumption that you know the market, right? That I know this is what it is. I know this is how I will be able to slice it. This is how I cut it, and I know that these are the customers who are good for me, right? Now this is a method used for everyone. And in most cases, these are basically demographic. In most cases, these cuts are demographic. Which means SEC, age, income, occupation, geography, right? Some would use behavioral segmentation, some. But mostly demographic. Because you are looking at number of customers that I need to go to. That's it. That's what I do, right? So you first look at the total market and then say, I will this thing, right? But if I have a differentiated product, right? If you are coming with some kind of innovation, do you know who your customers are? Even the agri-tech business, do you think who that farmer is? Farmer is farmer. Who that farmer is? Do you know that? When you have a good idea, which is new idea, you actually do not know the market. This is a question mark. And this is the biggest problem I have with almost everybody. That before you have seen and visualized the customer, you have already decided which market to go to. And that is where the other method comes in, what is called as bottom-up approach, wherein for your idea, for your service product that you have, find out one customer. First, find out one customer. Collect as much information as you can about that customer to see how does my product fit into the life of people, into the life of the customer. How my product will fit. This is what you call as product market fit, right? I'm talking of product consumer fit. Understand consumer, that person. Now, the biggest thing is, how do I find that one customer, right? So if you're looking at, naturally, if you're looking at, let's say starting point is women in the working class, that's where you go to. But working class women itself is such a huge segment, right? There's so many variety of people there. There's sub-segments out there. Who will actually be buyers? You don't know at this point in time. Now, what happens that when you don't know the market, don't know as to who the consumer is, in most cases, you try to become fitting to everyone. You try to become attractive to everyone. And 90% of the cases, you start saying, I will price it lower to become attractive to everyone. That's what happens. The moment you make your price as the primary factor, all other benefits will become secondary. Consumer will not look at other benefits. Price is the first benefit. And you will become a very cognitive purchase. Very, very cognitive and rational purchase. Right? So the other way of doing it is that I find one customer, understand the life of that customer. So lifestyle, right? His or her opinion, attitude, right? Everything. One person, right? demographic is only a descriptor. Demographic as only descriptor, not a segmentation. Only for descriptor, that people who have an opinion, strong opinion of having women OTT fall within the age group of 24 and 35. I'm not saying 24 and 35, all 24 and 35 are my customer. We are saying people who love women oriented content fall in 15 to 34. Do you see the difference? If I go by top down, I'll say 15 to 34 is what I'll target. Women into 15-34. Now that itself is a huge segment in this country, right? So you actually, what you do that you, demographic is secondary. You start, your segmentation is actually psychographic. You understand that person fully well, how does it fit? Then you start building up. You go to 1%, 2%, 3%, 5%, 10%, 20 people, 25 people, whatever that number is. And then you realize that after 25, I'm not getting any additional information. So that is because that is your sample. Now once you have studied these 25 people, put the data of these 25 people together, find out trends, common patterns, and then extrapolate to find your market size or segment. Most of us, even if we are doing just, we do this. And that's why we have never have clear idea of who my consumer is. The real potential comes out from here as to how many such people you have in the marketplace. And of this 25 people that you'll make, maybe 5 will be your real fit. Now you say, extrapolate the profile of these 5 people into the population to find out the market. Right? In this case, we have market and then we arrive at 5. You see the difference? Whereas here in this case, we first identify these 5 and then arrive at a market. Most innovations use this right side. Spend more time in understanding the customer. Much more time. Right? Similarly, so therefore, your total addressable market. So once you have got the segment, total addressable market is again two ways that you look at. Right? Again, if you look at down, for me, the addressable market is this segment, this segment, and this segment is my addressable market, 1, 2, 3. That's it. Whereas in this case, I say 5 types of people. This is the type of people which is my market, and then I extrapolate it to the market size, and that's my right. And then we say, okay, these customers are so much in Bhubaneswar, so many in Cuttack, so many in Puri, so many in Balasore. That's what you do. Because one thing you must understand, I mean, OTT is a different thing, but still, in most cases, you are getting into physical interaction with the customer, physical delivery of the product, right? Or services. And geography matters in this country. Because demand is huge, but it's very scattered, right? And therefore, your cost of business or doing business will change phenomenally the moment you have to move from one place to other place. And it's not just the logistic cost; it's basically servicing the market. The cost to service the market is very, very high. It jumps exponentially the moment you go from 2 to 3 market to 5 market, right? So we should be very, very wary of that factor also when I'm looking at it. So I may have the I may say, okay, there is a market in Balaso, but it's not so big enough to actually justify really setting the whole facility there. But I still want to go there. That means my cost of servicing that market will be high. Right. Even when you're talking about tech, the tech product, or so for example, I'm actually associated with with an OTT company and also a local media app, right? A media app, which is we are trying to build up a media app for people who are living in tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and villages, right? And what we are finding is whatever is working in the metros is not working there at all. You need a different business model to really acquire the customers as well as give them content which is relevant to them. Even when we are starting that OTT, first launch happened in OTT Marathi. You might look at this. It's called Let's Up Marathi. The app is called Let's Up. Let's Up Marathi, Let's Up. So we are actually going into 14 languages with Let's Up app. It's a digital magazine. And we have launched OTT Marathi. We are going to launch OTT Gujarati very soon. And let me tell you, the ground reality is very, very different from what it looks like from that top 30,000 feet. So what is working in Marathi is not working in Gujarati. It's just not working. Not because your product is just because your product is different. The market behavior is different. The competition is different. The way the channel members work is very different. The way the stringers work is very different. The way you will do your marketing activity is very different. So it's not linear, right? That you will get your business done, and all that has to be thought through when you're looking at your business plan, right? The next thing therefore your total addressable market is again you have to apply it. You want to go top down or you want to go bottom up is something that you have to be ready, right? If you're selling something which is innovative, it's always bottom up. You'll never be able to do top down, right? And that has been the biggest problem of most startups. They started with top down. They realized that no, it was a mirage. It was a myth. So they went back, started bottom up. And that's what is happening to many companies that I'm working with. Right. So if you have a good idea, make sure that you understand the market very, very well. Which means what you're bringing to the table, there are takers for that. Don't assume. Right. Let's also understand that when you do a research for new product, first of all, consumers do not know. If at all they know, they would say something which in most cases is what you think, what you like. Right? Therefore, do a deeper dive into understanding consumers and markets. I mean, this leather company that we just started working about a month ago, they spent 3 years trying to find out which is the best way to do it. They could sustain because they had that much fund and they had not invested so much in the business. After 3 years, they are able to say, now I know what my business model is going to work. Right? Some will find it quicker. Some of you might find it very, very quickly. Right? But in order to build a stable ship, you first understand the water. It's not the ship, it is the water which tells you what kind of ship I should be. Otherwise, you could be Titanic and still sink. Right? Thank you. Any questions that anybody, anything specific that you would like to ask?
Good evening, sir.
Yes, Suraj.
Sir, this is Suraj. I am the founder member of my startup, Rajpura. Sir, here we have the value proposition of in renewable gas, renewable energy. We are going to deliver this biogas in bottles.
Okay.
Now it is very common nowadays everywhere, but the only thing is that my production capacity. I have used highly technically approved biogas manufacturing unit that will produce gas at very cheaper rate.
Okay.
So for this, I think by going through your slides, I believe that I should go to the market first and see my customers and his psychological and demographic value. Then only I should come to the market, right?
Yeah. So that, of course, you have got. So just to give you an example, there's somebody who came with a biogas based air conditioning plant or a cooling plant, right? Which you could use in the cold storage, right?
Right.
And it was
that is one thing. Yes, sir.
It was a very good product. It was approved by the ministry also, but he was not able to sell. Right? He could show the ROI that you could get your ROI of your whole setup in 6 months, but still people are not buying.
Sir, this is where I'm going to change. My change is that instead of going for the entire product, I am selling him the final product in cylinders. Like in your house, you are using LPG, so I will replace that LPG with this biogas.
With the biogas, you can do that. That's doable because by chance I know the gas business because I was the marketing head of Gujarat Gas, right? And I used to sell LPG, right? And currently I'm on the board of Gujarat Gas, so I know the complete gas business, right?
But
so,
sir, here how should I go to the market? Means how I will do the segmentation, and what should I take care of so that I don't fail in the market?
See, first of all, don't just jump into the market, right?
Okay.
Find out, and you'll find that not everybody in the first of all, LPG now has become commonplace after the Prime Minister Ujjwala Yojana, right?
Right, sir.
LPG has reached every household, right? Now, what is the pain? What is the biggest pain there?
The cost.
Cost and also serviceability, right? Availability, right? So,
yes, sir.
If you can solve this problem,
yes, sir,
right? Then you have a market.
You mean to say that if I keep the price less than the market price of LPG?
It doesn't matter if it's less than, it may be even the same, but availability is ensured.
Availability, yes, sir. Yes,
right? For example, right? If I can give it cheaper, that's a bonus. If all of you, it is something that all of you must look at it. If you are able to produce something at a lower price, right?
Yes, sir.
Why should I give the benefit to the customer on day one when I have a new product?
Right. Sir.
No new product is launched at a cheaper price.
Okay.
Don't go by what Amazon did because they want to do something else. See, what Amazon did, it was different. They never made money from B2C. And for that matter, B2C e-commerce worldwide, barring a few, nobody makes money. Amazon doesn't make money in B2C.
Okay.
Similarly, Reliance, Tata's, Birlas, anybody who went into what you call as large format organized retail, they lost money for 10 years.
Okay.
Right? If you have that much of money, please go ahead and do it.
No, I don't have that much money.
Right? So what I'm saying is that first, why, if I have got a great costing, why should I simply pass it on to my customer on day one? In fact, that is what also gives me a chance that when the new competition comes in, then I'll play that game. I'll make it value-based pricing.
Okay. Sir.
Right?
Right. Yes, I got your point.
You're getting it?
Yes, sir.
So there are so many things that that can happen. I'm just picking one point here, right?
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Suraj. Yes.
Come on, guys, ask questions. I mean, all have understood the whole stuff. Nobody has any perspective, doubt or perspective regarding to their product or other things.
So great.
Okay.
Great. I'm going scot-free.
Sanjay, you have any question? Dipti, all of you are going on mute at a time.
Sir, can I ask one question, please?
Yes,
So
do that.
you have been requested to ask questions. Please go.
Sir, at any point of time, you say that potential is always 100. So then...
100 is a unit. Don't take it 100 as this thing. 100 as a index.
I mean, it is always 100. I mean, if you are going to innovate...
Yes, it's always 100.
Yeah. So how can we differentiate with that this term, this total available market?
So total available market is what you will be able to service.
Okay, with that innovative, that innovation.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. See, so therefore, opportunity is something that is called an opportunity and harnessing an opportunity. So available opportunity and how much of that will I harness is something that we are looking at.
Piyush, I have a question. Okay, yes. I'm Satya from Bonvi, and we're developing a flying taxi. It's called eVTOLs, or it's electric, purely electric, and a replacement for helicopter, you can say, or an alternative to helicopter, and purely electric, which can take off and land vertically and can carry passengers on board. Okay. And we see that there are regulatory challenges and certain things that even there it requires a lot of test data before you actually implement it to the general public, or to even trial run. You need a lot of data, and you need to keep collecting data. And because of that, we are developing cargo based drones, which is actually higher capacity payload drones, okay, which can be used in we have seen different markets. One is basically these life-saving applications, where you have you have disasters relief campaigns, and you have army using it for ammo deliveries or different delivery operations.
Yes.
Right? And commercial also delivery, you have marine applications, many, where you have big vessels standing 50 kilometers away from the shore, or yes, from the port, or 100 kilometers of your oil rigs, which is standing 100 kilometers from the port. So in those areas, how do I so I see that there are something that we are developing right now, which we will slowly build towards a passenger based you can say air taxi. But what should be the approach, and what would you suggest me to basically carefully look at this point of time, when we are building the product in one side, and what type of thing that we should package? Yeah.
Okay. First thing, I'll suggest that while you read and see all that the drone can do all over the world, just keep that and put it in a library. Right? In the sense that a lot of people are doing a lot of things with drones all over the world. Right? Use them to get an idea, but converting that in an Indian market, or this market, is what is the challenge, right? And therefore, what you very clearly said, there are two situations. You said either emergency situation or a disabled situation. In both cases, in the sense that from the in the marine use and the disaster use. So currently, people are used. If at all they are used, this will be a kind of a forced purchase, right? Right. But how do you make it part of their what you call requirement is important. So, for example, if disaster management is, and it's a huge market out there, right?
Right.
Right. So, if that is something which is there, but disasters don't happen every time. You have to be prepared with that, right?
Right.
So, is a buy model better or a rental model better is a question that you ask, right?
Right.
Then, depending upon the requirement of the customer, then you see what it can be done. And the other thing that one keeps doing is that you start experimenting with customers, right? So, for example, you have currently people are talking of you are looking at marine. I'm look at agriculture produce. The biggest bane of agriculture produce is the cold chain, right? Distance between market and farm.
Okay.
You understand this? Now, the moment you will say that why don't you use drone, people will say bahut mehanga hai, right?
Yes.
But if you do a total cost calculation of the time taken, wastage, and other infrastructure to be built, right? Then you find that this is something which you may find some way out there. I don't have the data, so I can't say anything on that. But basically, what is your core business? You are trying to reduce the time distance between one place and another one, right?
Right.
By using much smarter,
right.
Point A to point B in a much smarter way of a particular payload.
Yeah.
Right. So today, if you really study the agriculture chain, agriculture logistics, you'll realize that transportation is a big bane out there.
Yes.
So keep experimenting. That's also something, because you don't know which one will click, frankly.
So another thing is, when you talk about this, you also have regulatory challenges, right? Like where you can actually operate this. Okay, so you can't operate in general public on the purview of general public all the time.
True.
So
right. So air routes are fixed, and all those kind of things will have to be there. It's like any aircraft, right?
Right.
So all that will have to be worked out, but.
So that has to be also taken in consideration. Like, early you need to establish, pilot trials and establish that trust.
Exactly.
And with the data, you need to trust, right? Give that trust to the general public or to the,
See, permission other things are there, right? So, for example, people are saying drones in the cities is an issue, right?
Yeah.
But if you have drones picking up from the farms and going to the nearby village or warehouse market, right? Just find out what are the regulations there.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, because you're right. You are in a business which is very new to the whole country, right? Nobody has an answer. So anybody will they will only talk about why would you do this or this or this, because nobody has an exact answer there. So if nobody has an exact answer, I would rather myself find an answer. While I still go and talk to people, because while talking to people, you might get some ideas. But ultimately, you'll have to find an answer. But what I'm saying is that while you are finding an answer, log on to a few customers, and in most cases, yours should be a B2B business, not be a B2C business, right?
100%.
For some time at least.
Yes.
Right.
100%. It's B2B.
So therefore, you have to. Your objective would be, how can I make a first few customers as partners in my business?
Okay.
Right. So if you have, if you're in Orissa and you have a port there, right?
Yeah. Yes, there's Paradip port.
Work with it, right? Pipavav is big port, right?
Yes.
It's a very big port, and it has both inbound, that is inland, as well as marine transport, right? If that requires work, it will require a different level. So you go, let's say, if there or any other port is there, or any other, for that matter, this kind of thing. Work with them. Come with me. Help me develop it. There's no harm in actually going to customers saying that, please help me build my business. because I'm adding value to you, right? Similarly, you think of mines. Orissa is full of mines, right?
Yes.
Mining companies will require this kind of service. If not cargo, manpower transfer, right? So we can also, this is what is called as co-creating with the customer. You co-create with the customer. Don't sell. Co-create it. Right? And there have been models where companies have worked with the client to really develop the product. You are actually, basically, in engineering term, you call that as a beta client, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. So or pilot clients, basically, right?
Pilot client or whatever it is, right? Work with them, right? Make sure that there is some revenue coming in. You don't do it free to them.
Yeah.
Right? But because you are going to add phenomenal value to them, show them the value, right? So ROI will come in longer period, but ROI will have to be shown to them.
Right. So my question here is basically, when you have a MVP ready, and maybe the MVP is just the platform, and it can solve the use case of transporting goods from A to B. Okay. Now you have many set of clients which is out there. Like we discussed now, there's agriculture, there are mines, and there are port clients, right? And emergencies, of course, the disaster based clients.
Yes, that's right.
What would you suggest? What type of approach should be taken to, one is good, or try out with everyone and see whoever is?
See, all these clients will move at a different pace.
Okay.
Right. But the problem that with startups like us is that we have only 24 hours to ourselves, right? And we don't have a large team. Right.
Yeah.
So you have to choose the number of clients that you can handle well. But there's no one answer to it. Where would this happen? You don't know.
Do you think evaluation is important in this case? Like you evaluate and see that maybe you have a smaller client, but the potential is huge outside the.
What you need is your man in tango. You need somebody who believes in you in that organization. Whether you know him directly or you have somebody who knows somebody, use any relation, any connect that you have. Whether it is the political connect, government connect, relation, village connect, college connect, any connect. Or then ask Abhishek to find out people who know people there. It's always people knowing people. That is how it has been. It's never that, right? It's people knowing people. Yeah. Business is about people. It's not about products. Again, I'm telling you. And B2B is that much more. Right. So Abhishek, and you should tell Abhishek to find out somebody who knows somebody in these and fix up meetings with that, right? And there are many things. Like, so for example, just think of it. The sand gets transported from Mahanadi to other places, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
You could do that. You could do that straight to the site, right? From Mahanadi straight to the site. No trucks. I don't require. And you fly over Mahanadi.
Okay.
You're getting it?
Yeah.
That's what I mean by really understand the value of your business, and therefore who are the people who will cherish those values, who will find it valuable. That is where your customer is.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Actually, I have taken down many points, and from there I will be able to find out the right value. And I think value to going to the client, driving in that direction is the right approach to be taken. Value of the product, as in the value that the product is creating, and from there to finding out, identifying the customer. Yeah.
Yes.
The right
yes.
All right. Thank you.
Right. Okay. So Abhishek.
Yes, sir.
I hope this was useful to you all.
Obviously, sir. Mr. Patnaik, yeah.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Yes. Good evening, sir. Sir, I have a question. Yeah, if we can spare
Yes.
some moment. Yeah.
Okay, I've got
So
5 minutes. There's a call after 5 minutes.
yeah, so I am Preetham from Multimeter Lab. We have designed multiple robotics kits along with a robust LMS that enable kids of age 6 to 15 years of age to learn when they play and play when they learn. So my question is, we have got a few paying customers, which is enough to create a profile of an ideal customer profile. But as you told that we need to extrapolate that maybe on a national level or to a larger level. So how exactly do we do that? From the sample size that we have, how do we extrapolate that on national
So
level?
you have the profile of people, right?
Right, sir.
So best thing is to describe your customer, write the complete profile of your customers.
Okay.
Right? Write them down. Right?
Okay.
5, 10, 20 customers that you have which who are 25, write them down. You will find a pattern.
Okay.
You yourself will find a pattern. And then you'll find that pattern will tell you, that trend will tell you whom do I look for.
Okay. Thank you.
Right.
If anybody has any questions. Okay. I think Professor Sinha has given a lot of time, and we should thank him. And questions can be, dealt later if Sir leaves any link for you. All right, Abhishek, this has been going wonderful. With your connects that you have been finding jewels out of India. Dr. Sinha is same. All our startups just had a flavor of IIM Ahmedabad and had a very good class here, and very slowly, soberly, it has been made understand to all the startups that what is the essentiality that they have to go through while accessing their market and evaluating the market. It's been wonderful, sir. This is Bhagwati Prasad Patnaik, who is leading the Atal Incubation Center at C.V. Raman Global University, Bhubaneswar. I'm so very thankful for your, kind presence and escorting our startups in evaluating very few basic, factors that they need to look at. Odisha has been a, very lagging ecosystem looking at other sides of India. And this was in need of such sessions, and the startups got to be very keen, and I'm seeing they are very keen, and since the very first day, that is from 13th. And you guys have been so wonderfully, understanding the pain of the ecosystem with the pain of the startups. And that's why I'm very thankful for you. And we would definitely connect you so back on a bigger goal if needed for the ecosystem, and I hope you will contribute. Thanks a lot, and we are proud to having you here. Thank you so much.
Actually, Bhubaneswar is very close to my heart because I spent 3 years at Bhubaneswar.
Yeah, I was just looking at the frequent that we were spelling out the city's name in Odisha. I thought how Professor got to know all the cities and is speaking so frequent. Oh, that's why. Okay. So we would definitely. So please, you were saying something.
No, that I was saying that was long ago. 88 to 91, I was in Bhubaneswar.
Oh, that's great. Bhubaneswar has changed a lot, and it has picked a momentum now to get its own geographical identification, and also the demography is merging like global.
Yeah.
So your expertise.
Last time I came to Bhubaneswar, I couldn't find XIM because so much construction has happened. I lost my way.
XIMB was the only monument in that part. Now all monuments that are bigger in Bhubaneswar are on in and around XIMB. So you couldn't find XIMB became the smallest building in that area.
I couldn't find it, so I had to call up somebody.
So if things go normal, and if not also, in the ecosystem making, we would definitely need your contributions. Sometime we'll touch you back, sir.
Sorry.
Kunal has been very close to me, and we worked in many projects other than I am, CIIE. So I had been to IIM Ahmedabad multiple times, but as we couldn't know, I didn't know each other. So next time I'll definitely make to have a see to you.
Give me a call when you're here.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thanks, Abhishek. Thank you everyone for participating.
Thanks to all of
Thanks
you.
a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.